St. John the Baptist Parish Finance Committee meeting, Tuesday, March 27th. Called to order.
Larry Saraparu. Kurt Becknell. Julia Remonday. Here. Larry Schneider. Here. Thomas Malik.
Here.
Michael Wright. Marvin Perilou.
Here.
Lennox Modair. Jacqueline Hotard. We do have a quorum.
Please silence all cell phones. Public comments about agenda items. And, excuse me, moving on. Item 4, Gene Stewart bid opening. Edgard Water Treatment Plant Clarifier Rehabilitation Project.
Good evening, Council. There were 5 bids received for the Edgard Water Treatment Plant Clarifier Rehabilitation. Balut Incorporated from Houma, Louisiana, $443,600. Pentel Contracting Services, LLC, from Luling, Louisiana, $454,800. Cycle Construction Company, LLC, from Kenner, Louisiana, $561,170. Industrial and Mechanical Contractors Incorporated, from Jefferson, Louisiana, $417,400. And Godfrey Contracting, LLC, from Covington, Louisiana, $455,710. Administration recommends that these bids be taken under advisement.
We have a motion.
Right here.
Second. Ms. Remeday, second by Mr. Becknell. Question?
Yes, I just got one question.
Yes, sir.
On my calendar, they had canceled that 3 o'clock appointment today.
No.
On my calendar, I don't know what's going on, but they had canceled on it.
No, it was on our
And
calendar.
it's not something I put in there. It was in there. Well, I could show it to you, but for some reason they had it in there, canceled. That was canceled. Obviously it wasn't canceled.
Right.
Say what?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Canceled.
Mrs. Snyder, mine's canceled too, but I declined mine. But I don't know if
Well,
that
I
made
don't-
it cancel.
I don't know.
But
I don't
I
know
just
what's
pulled
going
mine up, and it says
No, it was on mine. And Miss Landis showed up. It was still on hers. So
Yeah, it was on mine.
I
I
don't know.
mine wasn't.
unless we rejected it.
I
I know
did.
I don't
I'm not saying
go
didn't.
to them, so I declined it.
Because I do things with a knot in the head sometimes, and it's possible I could have declined it a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Any other questions? No? Use your lights.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Becknell, are you going to vote for it? And Mr. Schneider, do you want to vote for it?
Oh yeah.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Item 5, Mrs. Robon, this is a tabled item from 227, authorization to terminate the agreement with Royal Engineering and Consultants, LLC for disaster recovery project management consultant services, effective March 31, 2018, in accordance with the RFP, and advertise a request for proposal RFP for conclusion of the Hurricane Isaac Community Development Block Grant Program. We have a motion to take this off the table?
I think y'all have advice to leave it tabled from legal counsel.
Yes.
So we're good with that.
So we actually have item 5 and item 6, which is related.
Just want to leave them on the table?
Just leave them on the table, or, okay. Good. Item 7, Mrs. Cater, authorization to renew the property casualty and liability insurance through Riverlands Insurance Incorporated. Do we have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Got ahead of you. My apologies.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Council. This renewal is at a premium of $769,258.14, which reflects an increase of $2,361.38 over the expiring premium. Administration recommends approval.
Do we have a motion? Motion from Ms. Remedy. Mr. Modair. I almost called you Mr. Sarafu. Anyway, sorry. We have first and second. Lights? Questions? Not in a hurry.
Thank you, Tom. Does this insurance take in consideration our new building also?
Yes, sir. Once the new building comes online, it will be added to the policy at a premium amount of $32,344 approximately.
I talked to Mr. Rolo. I mean, I don't know if I got all my facts together, but he told me we didn't have an increase this year in premiums.
There was no rate increase, but anytime you add property, of course, you have to take into consideration the value of the property that you're adding or the item that you're adding. So there was no rate increase. For instance, he told me that when we bring the new building online, it will be rated at 0.311%. That is the amount that you add to get the factor you use to get the premium, and the value of the building and contents is estimated at $10,400,000. So that is where the $32,000 premium came in. But that was in spite of the fact that we added the senior citizens building on the West Bank, and we added 2 vehicles to the policy, we only had a little over $2,000 increase. So that spoke to the rate guarantee that he was able to secure over the past couple of years.
Okay. Yeah, I was impressed with that, but I was just when I saw the $2,000, and this is just a regular rate increase, the $2,300.
Yes. Well, premium increase due to the additional property that we added, the whole building and 2 vehicles.
What's the difference between rate increase and premium increase?
Well, like the rate in which they apply to the policy, the 0.311%, that had the potential to go up had he not, say for instance, to 0.5%, had he not secured a rate guarantee. But you can't bring on a $10 million building and not expect to pay a premium on that.
Oh no, I expected. Might not get it.
Reasonably expect, I should say.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Kato.
Ms. Hotard?
Thanks. And it is confusing, and a good explanation or good understanding on how I kind of think about it is, let's say if you have a automobile policy with 1 car on it, it's $250 per car, and you add another car, it's $250 for that car. So the rate hasn't changed. You're still at $250 a car. You've just added another car, so your premium is now $500 instead of $250.
Thank you.
You had something to add, sir?
No, sir. I'm just agreeing with.
Okay. No, I thought you looked like you were raising your hand. Any other questions? Use your lights.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Thank you.
That is the end of the items. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Modair, second by Mr. Wright.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Here.
Michael Wright.
Here.
Marvin Perilou. Thomas Malik. Here. Jacqueline Hotari. We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Please silence all your electronic devices. We also, well, I'll say that afterwards. I'd like for Mr. Michael Wright to lead us in prayer, and Mr. Kurt Becknell, the national anthem. Pledge allegiance.
Our Father,
Lord in heaven, hallowed.
Okay, we have public comments, agenda items only, 2 minutes per citizen on any item on the agenda.
Bless you.
Hello, my name is Gary McMurray. I'm here to talk about the residential billing. Common sense solutions have never been considered or implemented. When you have no idea what you're saying, makes no sense, you have a problem. In this case, the bad decision making of administration and its broken utilities department is causing fraudulent billing to 7,003 customers. There's no excuse for having customers wait weeks or months for an answer regarding a problem water bill. Administration and utilities department have recommended having incorrect billing corrected prior to paying the water bill. However, this is impossible without incurring penalties due to the length of time it takes to receive a department response if a response is received at all. We do not know the exact formula being used by the utilities department, but statements made by administration, the department, and customers who have found us have left us with serious concerns once again. There is no shortcut. If the utilities department goes back in time, it must bring the customers with them. Not to do so leads to double charges and overcharges, and all at the higher 2018 water and sewer rates, essentially charging the customers 3.2% interest on any money customers may owe for underestimated 2017 water and sewage consumption. It is important to note the customers we have worked with that fall into the underestimated water consumption category do owe the department, but certainly not the amount they are being charged. There is no generic formula. Each of the 7,003 utilities department accounts must be handled individually, and both administration and its utilities department have repeatedly stated this fact in council meetings. However, it appears administration and its utilities department would like to move forward while they are also moving backward. Ridiculous does not even begin to define the process they are describing. Basically, the customers need to get current and move forward, while the department moves backward and forward, ignoring double charges and overcharges.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Ray McMurray, and I'm also here to continue speaking on the residential billing. The fact that an actual read for thousands of customers after nearly a year of estimated reads results in a large water and sewer consumption number. Consumption that high was not used by the customer in 1 month, and most of it was not used in 2018. In most cases, because there is a monthly flat rate for water, which includes 4,000 gallons, and sewer, which includes 1,900 gallons, the customer has already paid for much of the water consumption and some of the sewer consumption they are being double charged for. Rather than ignore this fact, as the administration and the utilities department are choosing to do, the large consumption numbers should be spread over the estimated period instead of being overcharged in a single month at the higher 2018 water and sewer rates. So as you can see, there is a rather simple and fair and legal solution to handling this very real issue of double charging and overcharging. There is little to no accurate information remaining on the 7,003 customer account histories. With each new bill, the oldest month of the billing information drops off from the 18-month history. The problem in many cases appears older than 18 months. We do not know who recommended continuous estimation of thousands of accounts. Natalie Rowbottom stated meter reading was recommended to them as a solution. By whom? We know for a fact that thousands of customers have been estimated 10 to 18 months, perhaps even longer in a row. Estimated meter reads based on a customer's average water consumption history may have worked once or twice, but would never have worked long term, which is what has happened in St. John Parish. Currently, there is little, if any, true information remaining on the customer account histories that can be used to determine a customer's true average water consumption. Actuals are not always actual, and the utility department knows this to be a fact. Using actual meter reads that may or may not be actual to determine a customer's average is not fair to the customer. Why are outrageous monthly consumption numbers and/or charges not immediately recognizable by the utilities department personnel? Adjustments made without zeroing out an account result in repeated penalties to the customer. Whoever is responsible for pressing the disconnect notice button every 5 minutes needs to be stopped. Customers are already nervous about opening up anything that comes from the utilities department. Giving away free water is illegal and unfair to those of us who are paying water bills, so we would like to know what's happening to the over 4,000 accounts where they have paid nothing. We deserve better, and it is past time our parish council moved to protect us from the fraudulent practices of the administration and its broken utilities department. There is zero confidence that they have an ability to handle this problem, these issues. They are incapable of providing this very basic service to SJBP residents, and we respectfully ask that the council consider requesting their legal department to research the procedure necessary to place this municipal water district under the Louisiana Public Service Commission's jurisdiction. We also request that they hire an independent auditing firm to audit each of the 7,003 customer accounts. The independent auditing firm should not in any way be connected to St. John Parish or any firm currently being paid by them. And also that we consider contracting out the meter and the billing. So we thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Okay, public comments are closed right now. Okay, introduction of new businesses. Do we have anyone? Okay. We're going to what? Oh, the plastic center, right? We're going to remove them. Okay, next on the agenda is Lennox Mader, Patricia Trish presentation, carryover from St. John the Baptist Parish Early Childhood Community Network.
Good evening. I see some familiar faces. My name is Ms. Trish. I'm Director of Early Childhood Head Start for St. John the Baptist Parish School Board. And we thought we'd want to get the word out about birth to 5 early childhood education in St. John the Baptist Parish. We have programs for every income level in our community, both through the child care centers that are under the Louisiana Department of Education, as well as in the school system. Act 3 called for the establishment of the Louisiana Early Childhood Care and Education Network, which unifies childhood education programs. As you know, brain development pretty much is over with by the age of 3, most of the brain development. And so the Department of Education is really starting to look at infant through 5-year-old education. This statewide network is comprised of 65 local early childhood community networks. St. John the Baptist Parish School Board is over St. John the Baptist Parish Early Childhood Community Network. It's very important that you understand that whenever a child care center now takes money, any kind of federal, state money, they're accountable to the same standards that the school system is now with the Louisiana Department of Education. So basically, myself as a lead agency and St. John the Baptist School Board, we go out and actually observe in these child care centers to make sure that they have the standards that necessary for education. So we wanted to let the public know that enrollment is now open for the 2018-19 school year. There are programs available for all income levels. We have unified applications at all schools, and we have them on our website. Applications can be turned in at all school sites. We have programs at the schools, which are 4-year-old programs: West St. John Elementary, Emily C. Watkins, 5th Ward Elementary, Lake Pontchartrain Elementary, and we're going to be currently moving the St. John Child Development Center to Garyville Magnet. We have programs available in child care centers which offer infant through 5-year-old at Garden of Eden, Little Leaders, Divine Hands, Children of God, Wells Wallace, Kids of Distinction, and Terrence Daycare. At Little Leaders and Kids of Distinction, there's actually a tuition-free 4-year-old program that parents can enter and get their kids in school. And I have a bunch of packets here for you. If you have any constituents that are interested, all of the child care centers have CCAP, which is called Child Care Assistance Program. And as long as they're in school or they have a job for so many hours, they can get assistance on their child care. and also eligibility requirements, the schools, their times, and a flyer about Head Start. So we just wanted to provide you with some information and let the public know that early childhood is very important.
Okay, thank you. May I have some comments from any council members or questions? Mr. Snyder?
Yes, Ms. Trish, I didn't know that.
Turn your mic on there.
Let's forget this thing. I didn't know that these daycare centers were under your jurisdiction also.
It's something new.
Oh, yeah?
This is in the third year. Louisiana is one of the first that gives actual performance profiles to every school and the child care centers that are under us. And the ones that I listed for you, we actually are supporting them. We just wrote a grant for $88,000. Most of the child care centers that I listed are going to have Tier 1 curriculums, which are research-based curriculums. And actually, I'm going to get trained next year. We're going to start actually observing infant classes. We observe infant, toddler, and preschool classes, and they have to raise to a specific standard. And you can look online at Louisiana Believes, which is the State Department of Education, and you can get the score on any of these centers.
Good. You say that the brand development.
Yes, sir.
It ends at 4
It doesn't
5 years
end,
old?
but most of brain development in anybody, most of it occurs between birth and 3 years old, and so it's research based, and we have to start educating our little ones. A lot of states are way ahead of us. Some states have mandatory 4-year-old education in their school systems. I know that Mr. George is really a firm believer in education for our younger. So we don't have a wait list for 4-year-olds. So we want 4-year-olds in childcare or in the school systems in school where there's an actual curriculum and they're being taught with structure. And it's a whole process by which we observe them through their interactions, through the environment, through classroom management, everything in the child care center. And as a matter of fact, they're gonna take part in the Louisiana Teacher Leader Summit at the end of the year. We send them to trainings. We want them to do right by our children in St. John Parish. So we work together.
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
The curriculum, who is that established by? Is that
The
federal
Louisiana-
government or is that state, local?
The state government, they go by a vetting system, and they will actually vet all curriculums. So say, for instance, I have a program and it's funded by Model Early or LA4 or a funding source. For you to be able to get those funds from the federal government or the state government, you have to use a Tier 1 curriculum or a Tier 2 curriculum. So those curriculums are actually listed on the Louisiana Department of Education. Louisiana does that.
So it's the federal government's actually dictating it.
No,
to get the money.
Louisiana vets the curriculums, not the federal government.
Okay. But in order to get the federal money,
Or state money, you can't just have a fly-by-night curriculum. You have to have a curriculum that's vetted and research-based.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Ms. Natalie Rowbottom, proclamation April as Keep St. John Beautiful Month.
Good afternoon. I have my partner here from our Leaders Against Litter. I think we've been together at least 3 times this week. But thanks again for coming. You can always count on Zah for leading the Keep St. John Beautiful Month program. And one of the newer programs that's sponsored around the state by the Lieutenant Governor is Leaders Against Litter, and that was held last Friday. We had a really good turnout. There were about 25 people who actually assisted, not just elected officials, but leaders from some of our local businesses and the Tourist Commission. And I think we made a little headway on Belterre, so we want to thank those who came out. Of course, we'll announce later on that there will be our annual Clean Sweep coming up on April the 21st. The proclamation reads, whereas the month of April has long been recognized as Keep St. John Beautiful Month, and whereas the health, cleanliness, and beautification of our community and state greatly depend on the services of the Keep St. John Beautiful Committee and Keep Louisiana Beautiful. And whereas the support of an informed citizenry and strong community leaders from all walks of life is vital to the accomplishment of strong litter prevention, recycling, beautification, and community enhancement programs.
And whereas the quality and effectiveness of litter prevention, recycling, beautification, and community enhancement programs is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of Keep St. John Beautiful, Keep Louisiana Beautiful, and a team of dedicated political officials, the business community, school and church leaders, community and civic groups, and individual volunteers, all working together for a cleaner St. John Parish. And whereas St. John the Baptist Parish is committed to helping spread the word about the importance of inspiring everyone in our community to become stewards of the environment. Now, therefore, I, Natalie Rowbottom, Parish President, in conjunction with the St. John the Baptist Parish Council members, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Keep St. John Beautiful Month in St. John the Baptist Parish. Mr. Morris?
I'd like to thank the Parish President Rowbottom and her entire Parish President's office, and also the support we've been getting ongoing from the Parish Council. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Okay, hold on a second.
Question, I'm sorry.
Yes, Ms. Hotel.
Just one comment, and I think Natalie touched on it. I just wanted to say thanks for all that you do. If it's anything to do with keeping St. John beautiful, or planting trees, or beautification, or anything to just make the community look a little bit nicer, I see you at all of the events that I attend, and I know you're at all of the other ones that I don't attend. So I just
my good buddy is pinching my toes if I don't do this.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But I believe
yeah,
that
I know what I'm talking about.
I do, and you would. I believe you still would do it anyway. If you weren't
Absolutely.
here, y'all would be out there together.
You're right.
So, in the absence of that, I do thank you very much for
Thank
all
you.
that you do.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Ms. Natalie Rowbottom, proclamation. April as Fair Housing Month.
Here we are. Hi. Thanks for coming. It is Fair Housing Month, so again, we're going to issue a proclamation. The proclamation reads, whereas this year marks the 50th year anniversary of the passage of the Federal Fair Housing Act, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and whereas the month of April is an occasion for all Americans, individually and collectively, to rededicate themselves to the principle of freedom from housing discrimination whenever it exists. And whereas this law guarantees for each citizen the critical personal element of freely choosing a home. And whereas a fair housing law has been passed by the state of Louisiana, and implementation of the law requires the positive commitment, involvement, and support of each of our citizens. And whereas the Fair Housing Law prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings and in other housing-related transactions based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, familial status, or sexual orientation. And whereas barriers which diminish the rights and limit the options of any citizen to freely choose a home will ultimately diminish the rights and limit the options of all. And whereas it is with the cooperation, commitment, and support from all of our residents of St. John the Baptist Parish can barriers to the enjoyment of this and the other aspects of equality of opportunity for all be removed. Now, therefore, I, Natalie Rowbottom, Parish President, in conjunction with St. John the Baptist Parish Council members, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Fair Housing Month in St. John the Baptist Parish. We have here representing the Housing Authority, Ms. Francis. Thank you. Thank you.
On behalf of the Housing Authority, we would like to say thank you.
Any comments from council? Okay, thank you very much. You got off easy.
Thank you.
Okay.
April's a busy month.
Oh yeah. Next on the agenda is still April. Natalie Rowbottom, April as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yes, and actually this is limited to 3, so I'm sure there's some other things in April. Actually, I have a couple in my comments. But come on up. We have a good group behind us. Each year they make sure to be here. They'll be sponsoring an activity a little bit later on this month that we're working with them to do the pinwheels. I think we're trying to find the right location. But this is a dedicated group of individuals from CASA. They've spoken to you before, you know where their offices are, and they do a lot of hard work. So it's an honor to present them with this proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. The proclamation reads, whereas all children deserve to have safe, stable, nurturing, and healthy homes and communities that foster well-being. And whereas child abuse and neglect impairs a child's ability to be successful in school and increases the likelihood of criminal behavior, substance abuse, health problems, and risky behavior. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed through partnerships created between citizens, human services agencies, schools, faith-based communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas as a community we must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families by advocating for children and demanding zero tolerance from authorities that have the ability to give consequences to adults who engage in harm to children. Now, therefore, I, Natalie Rowbottom, Parish President, in conjunction with St. John the Baptist Parish Council members, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in St. John the Baptist Parish and entrust its observance to all of our citizens. At this point, I have with me, I know y'all know Mr. Akeem Burrow, Miss Stacy Ashmore, and Marcy Willette. Oh, and a few more. I think I'm going to need you guys to introduce yourselves, but come on up, please. Stacy.
I'm Miss Stacy Ashmore. I'm the St. John Baptist Parish Advocate Supervisor for y'all's area. And this is
Shannon Brown, and I'm the Family Services Coordinator for the area.
And we also have two CASA advocates here. It's June and Phil Mathern. Just decided to come show their face because we do have a lot of community members that we encourage to be advocates. I know that just at childadv.net is where you can look that up and become an advocate.
And these are, she's being very humble, and of course these adults here, it's not anything simple. They go through courses, they learn, they represent or go with children to court cases to help them manage through it in place of their parents. We have quite a few in St. John who've actually trained for this, and these are their trainers. And of course it's never an easy situation to be in, so we're just grateful for people like you to come step up to the plate, and of course to have the strong leadership of the team here in St. John Parish. We can't thank you all enough.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
Okay, hold on. Don't go anywhere. You missed one. We missed the introduction on one person.
Me? I'm Marcy Willette. I'm the counselor
Okay.
at Child Advocacy.
Right. We don't want to leave anyone out. Okay. Any comments from the council? Okay. Mr. Mallett.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very, very needed group, and a lot of the staff that they have are actually volunteers, so they spend a lot of time not only going to court but also following up at their houses and doing a lot of other things. So for that, thank you very much. I appreciate, as well as everybody else here appreciates what you do for the children that you're taking care of, and yeah, I know it's heartbreaking, and it's very, very difficult for you, but thank you once again.
Okay, I want to say, Ms. Trish, what she just told us, about the development of a child brain between the age of 1 and 3 years old. Okay, children can be abused at any age, and that would definitely have an effect on their development. So these things work hand in hand, and I think anyone that abuses a child, something's wrong. Definitely wrong. So I appreciate everything that y'all do. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is consent agenda item, approval of minutes March 13, 2018 regular meeting. Open to the public. Any comments from the public?
Motion to accept the financial meeting.
Okay. No, that's not it. No, that's the other one. That's the other one.
You jumping the gun.
Yeah, you're rolling tonight. Okay.
We can keep going that fast if y'all want.
Okay. Okay. Motion by Mr. Wait, hold on now. They're going too fast now. Motion by Mr. Wright and second by Mr. Pearl. Okay? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Okay, rolling right along. Okay, next thing is public hearing on ordinance. Okay, dash 1804, an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of parcel B, Sugar Ridge subdivision in parcel B-1 and B2 Sugar Ridge subdivision located in the area generally bounded by Sinclair, West Airline Highway, Belterre Boulevard, and North Sugar Ridge, and containing multiple municipal address 1830 and 1840 West Airline Highway, LaPlace, as shown in the survey prepared by Stephen P. Finley. Okay, any comments from that? Okay.
Alex Carter with Planning and Zoning. At the request of the applicant, administration recommends removal of this item from the agenda.
Oh, you want to remove it? Okay, you could have saved me. Okay. Motion to remove and second by motion by Mr. Snyder, second by Mr. Wright. Okay. Use your lights, please.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
8 in favor with 1 absent. Okay, remove from the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is committee report. Mr. Mallet. Here. Now's your time.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for the council to accept the minutes for the financial meeting.
Motion by Mr. Mallet. Need a second? Second by Mr. Becknell. Any comments? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Okay, 8 in favor with 1 absent. Okay, we don't have any old business. New business. First thing on the agenda is Mr. Larry Snyder, financing of tap water project in Water District 1 and 2. Mr. Snyder.
I'd like to actually go up to Water District 3.
Yes, sir.
I made that mistake.
Okay.
But that's no big
East Bank. Yeah, yes, East Bank is what you're referring to. Yes, sir.
But we added it for you.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
We figured that's what you wanted.
Thank you very much. But I'd like to carry that over.
Okay.
We can table it.
We can table it. Okay. Motion to table. Table. A motion to table by Mr. Snyder, second by Mr. Wright. Any comments? Use your lights, please.
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
All right. 8 in favor and 1 absent to table. Okay, next thing is a departmental engineering report. Mr. Larry Saropoulos, this item is not here, so I'm pretty sure we're going to leave it on the table. Next is Mr. Larry Snyder, a table item, update on pending and planning and zoning litigation.
Okay.
You want to take it off the table?
Yeah, I'd like to
Make a motion.
if we have an update on, I'll take it off the table.
You got to make a motion?
Not from administration.
Leave it on the table then.
Okay, we're moving right along and leave it on the table. Okay, next on the agenda is Mr. Lennox Madair, update on drainage and road repair in District 3. Yeah, I got it.
Good evening. All items identified on East 26th Street have been completed. This includes the installation of 3-yard drains at the designated location in the resloping of the driveway apron. Improvement of the driveway apron on Muller's Drive are still underway and should be completed within the next 2 weeks, weather permitting. The 2018 road list has been submitted to the council and the parish engineer to develop cost estimates.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Madair, you got something?
I got a smile today. I saw the list for the road repair and pretty much agree with it. You know, I could have balked a little bit in there for one or two.
Say that louder.
One or two more.
A little bit louder. Yes, a little bit louder and over and over and over.
I'm gonna agree with it for now. Agree with it for now. I could have balked a little louder, but I'm pretty satisfied. I'm pretty satisfied with the amount of money and the amount of street that you're doing in my district, and I know we can put on the next fiscal year road repair, we can add a couple of more streets. But the ones that you have listed are definitely the ones that really need some repair that was damaged during the construction of the drainage project. Because those roads were definitely tore up. Only one question on 26. You say you're going all the way to the curve, right? From the curve of 26.
Well, we'll have them to take a look at it, but it seems like from the curve forward is in fairly good shape. Right. So that's what I think Joseph responded today, and we asked that if they see anything other than what we noticed to please let us know. I would like to let Ms. Remenade know we did look at several streets in your area. However, they're in that project area. So rather than damaging them and having to come back and do them, we do have them on 2019 list, and several of the other ones as well. I want to thank Mr. Travis Peralou, who actually took me around to take a look at some of the ones on the list. We actually added some for future years. Of course, we're trying to get the ones that are the most damaged and the most frequently used, but we are going to continue doing this. There's about 14 on the list right now, depending on what Mr. Savoy comes back with. If there's additional money, we'll add additional roads. If not, we'll have to make some adjustments.
Additional roads sound like us.
No, there's we had a good visit.
Okay,
in that area.
Now concerning the drainage project, I heard the report, but I have two things to add to it. Not add to it. I showed Mr. Verdell the picture yesterday, and I'm going to pass it over to administration to look at it. It's 361. The lady called and said this is how they left her property. It did a little insert drain. Okay, so I just took a picture of it. So they need to go back and address that area. And address that area, they just threw.
What's the address again? 361.
361.
361.
Yeah, they just threw some slabs
which
above.
street? I'm sorry.
On East 26. They just went down there and threw some slab of grass down there, no kind of pattern, and cut a slot, yard for the drain, so they need to address that. Okay, and one other thing, when we took the walkthrough, okay, they told me that they did, it was two individuals complained about them moving the property lines. They had their property surveyed, and one, they put it back, the other one they didn't. Okay, but they told us they did, but they didn't. And that address is 538 on East 24th Street.
I haven't.
Okay, so they have to put her property line back, that's a survey she paid for. So the other person, they did it. Okay, so thank you.
Was that one of the objects on the punch list?
Yeah, it had been on the, well, put it like this, it's been on the punch list for 6 months. I told them about it.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Back.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna have to handle it ourselves. And this is Mr. Larry Snyder and Lennox Marty update on certified motion directing the administration to request information from the Tourist Commission on the process to withdraw our membership from the commission. Okay.
I think you guys got a copy of the letter. I don't know that we've gotten a response, but you got the letter.
We got the letter that you sent to the Tourist Commission, and that's what we asked them to do. Now it's in their court.
Okay. Satisfied?
I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
Until our next move is coming.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is Mr. Tom Malik, update on utility billing cycle, electronic and manual reading.
Good evening, Council. As discussed with Councilman Malik, a new meter reading process was implemented on March 1st with the objectives of one, obtaining consistent billing cycles approximately 30 days, and two, conducting actual reads rather than averaging or estimating any kind of reads. Using the new schedule, approximately 70% of all meters will be read manually and electronically in the 30-day cycle, including customers with previous adjustments. We anticipate that 100% of the meters will be read manually in a 30-day cycle within 6 months is what we're shooting for. The goal is to continue to build from 70% to 100%, evaluating our progress along the way. I think 3 months in, we're going to do a evaluation and make a decision moving forward on what we can do. 1 month, 30 days, we read over 5,000 meters with the current personnel.
What's the total number of meters that we have?
It's roughly 17,300 is a number that I use. I use a higher one just because I know it's the number of accounts, right? And so what's active, what's not active. But the last one I use is 17,300.
So what's the total number of meters that are actually reading as of the latest?
I haven't got this month's totals because we're still working through the end of this month. But I'm using from when I started. Whenever I set this in place in March, it's roughly 6,000, 6,000 to 7,000 in between there is what's reading electronically. And we've picked up this month, almost equal to that in manual reads.
What's your daily expectation for manual reads?
They're roughly reading an average of 250.
250.
Depending on how many personnel I can break free. That's 3 full-time meter readers, and then some supplemental people. There's a temporary that works half a week, and then there's a couple other people that do other jobs that we pull in whenever we get to bigger cycles to try to knock out.
So that's 3 dedicated to manual reads only.
Yes,
okay. Couple things. Do you have any plan to improve your website?
Yes, sir. And I know we discussed that at length. We're trying to add what we can to it as far as the new. I think it took a while last year to get up the rates. The rates that are up now are 2018 rates. When I took over in December, we were looking to update the utility website as a whole. But with this kind of being under utilities now as well, I think we kind of took a step back and said, let's refocus and kind of merge those websites and bring it full circle and have it all integrated. Unfortunately, that hasn't been done just yet.
So this would also include items to assist the residents in reading the bill,
Sure.
understanding how water usage is.
Sure.
You want to put all that stuff in there
Yeah,
as well?
I've been developing some of the average water usages, just some numbers. It's just to get perspective on what to expect, and it may be high, maybe low, but at least put you in the ballpark so that people can understand what they expect to use in a household on a given day or a given month for that matter. We also discussed, I think you and I discussed, potential of putting something on that maybe generated a bill generator or a usage generator, a calculator on there. That's some discussions we're trying to have and try to see if you can go in and plug in your consumption and it would generate a potential bill for you and see what it would
I completely forgot to look, but did you have the updated chart?
The rates are there.
The updated rate chart for 2018?
Yes, sir. So the 2018 rates are there, and I spoke to a few residents. I know there's another chart that they have seen in the past, and that I'm trying to make sure I get that up. It's one that actually calculates it all there. So like it goes down and actually calculates if you use a 60, if you use a 70, it gives a number, it gives a cost next to it. Rather than having to calculate it out, you can just find your number on it, and it spits out a number for that usage. I think in the past the parish has put that up, and we're trying to facilitate that as well.
Okay, let's see. Let me ask you something. The digital versus the analog.
Yes, sir.
How many of these things, how many of the digital are dying per month? What percent do you think we're losing?
I don't have that now. I'd have to go back and look at it. I'm trying to get this month's totals of what was actually picked up, and then I can go back and do a historical check on that. I know for a while, because we were running estimates, for a while that was the number of actual reads we were getting in a month, so it shouldn't be a difficult number to access.
Do you have any idea of how many registers have been replaced in the past couple of years?
Based on my original conversation when I was just sitting third party, I know at the time of, I think when Ross got here, which I guess was a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was 2,000 to 3,000 that were already replaced at that point. I'd have to track the numbers since then.
But the analog is continuing to work?
Yes, sir.
So it sounds like the expectation is that as you go through each month, they're going to be able to increase the number of manual reads per month.
That is absolutely my expectation.
Okay.
And I think there is going to be a time where there may be some barrier, right? And at that time, we want to get there. I think if we would have tried to read 100% this month in 30 days, I think we would have got there. I think we could have done it. I think it was with the current staff and a normal workload, I think it was not able to be consistently held at that standard, that I think we would have fell behind at some point, and I think we would have been back to the same point. So my intent was to try to get a baseline this month, and unfortunately, it takes a whole month to get a data point in this billing system, and so we have that data point now, and so we plan on the same personnel going to the same routes. They're seeing their numbers they read last month. Starting April 1st, they're going to know where they're going, and they're going to know what numbers they read last month, and we're going to try to shoot for a better number than last month.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but you said your expectation is to get 100% read
absolutely.
in a 3-month period?
I put 6 months down. The parish president actually pushed me to try to put a number down, and it's hard to do with one data point, but we absolutely want to shoot for that. In 3 months, I'm certainly going to assess where we stand, and I think make a bigger decision or presentation to you guys as far as what I think that we need to achieve that, if not just moving forward.
With the which I think is a good start. I guess the big thing is this. In speaking with a lot of residents, they've had 11, 12, sometimes 18 estimations in the past 18 months. How far back do you retain historical data?
Electronically, in the current system, it's 18 months. There's a manual backup. We actually were investigating that today. I was trying to see how they would manipulate it and get into the archives and get into all that. It's a very manual heavy process, but they do have it, and I went from most recent back, so I didn't go. We made it into, I think I was in 13 today when I was looking at it. But I have a feeling it goes a lot further back, because they were just basically taking snapshots before they lost the data on the 18 month. They would take a snapshot of it and archive that. So it's very archaic, it's very manual, and it's something we're pushing to get away from so that we can have better data.
I guess the big
usable.
Yeah, I guess the big concern is that if I'm a resident with, I don't know, pick a number, 13, it's been 13 months since my last actual reading.
Yes, sir.
I can actually go to my register, take a look at it, and I can find out my exact usage for those 13 months. I think in some cases we're going to find that we've had residents that were overestimated and then underestimated.
Yes, sir. We're seeing both of those.
I think I'm probably the only one that you're dead on. But for the 17,299 other residents of the parish, I think this really warrants an audit of each and individual account.
Right. We're handling it case by case.
Okay.
I'll say that. And I think and again, if we would have read 100% in this month, I think there would be a bigger concern, because a lot more of these accounts would be drawn to the surface. And I know a lot of people have waited patiently for a long time for a solution, and I think we're getting there. But to process those in a timely manner with the number that we would have to process, I think is a difficult thing. So starting with this 30% increase or 35% increase in actuals we're trying to set a baseline on how we handle these cases. We're trying to understand these cases on a case by case, and I think we're going to move forward month to month with these additional actual reads that come in the upcoming months. We'll have a better understanding of how this is going to work and how we're going to process these, each one at a time.
Are your employees having difficulty locating some of the registers?
There are.
How are they finding them?
Well, right now we're actually the intent is not to spend as much time on locating individual meters. As I was looking at it, everything's worth 1 point, and I know that's just a very basic way of looking at it. If I'm spending 4 hours trying to look for a meter, that's maybe 40 more meters I could be actually reading and getting that correct. We are generating a list of ones they can't find. And we do intend, from a utilities maintenance standpoint, to try to assist them and to get to some of those uncovered and move forward.
So you're like probing around?
They are. I mean, they have in the past, and I think though it may have not been as structured in the past, they have located some of these meters, and they have assisted moving this along. Some of these personnel do know where some of these meters are because of what they have been doing for the last 2.5 years, even though it hasn't been as structured as what we're laying out right now. So we've actually made a lot of progress with some of these people that know where these are. They located one last year at some point because there was an issue with the meter, and they've actually located, and it helped us move right along into this process now. But as it stands today, we're trying to get the number of meters that are uncovered and as many as we can read of those. And then along the way, we're going to try to handle some of these ones that are buried and try to tackle those alongside of it. But the goal is to try to get everything that we can put our hands on ready. That's the big immediate goal.
Okay, so, but essentially March the 1st that's your first data point.
Yes, sir. And I think you'll see, and I think you'll see on the billing when these bills come out, the dates are all correct.
Yeah.
The dates match the due dates. They're given 15 days. If you take your current bill from March, and compare it to the bills previously, you'll see that those dates the days due on consumption, but the dates that we have printed on those bills there's gonna show a little bit of a gap, and it's because I hit the reset button on March 1st to start reading again.
Okay.
Consumption-wise, it hasn't changed, but there was some manipulation of those dates to try to expand and give people more time to pay because of the way they were trying to run the billing system previously.
I spoke with a resident who was in Butch's district, who's had 18.
I saw a few of this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, let me ask you, how are you going to calculate that so that it's fair to both the resident and the parish?
I don't know that there's a dead-on solution right now. What I would say is that we're going to know next month exactly what they use, and that's what we're going to go off of. If this is what they've been paying, and I have no way of telling them that they have used anything more or less of this water over the last 18 months or 24 months, or we don't know how far back that goes. That could have been dead since 2008, and that's all they've ever known is estimated bills. What we're trying to do is get that baseline, and that's what the hard part is, to jump from that estimate to that actual. But from March to April, we know what they're going to use, and I guess that's where we're kind of caught in that flux right now between the estimates and actuals, and trying to find. It's a case by case when it comes to those. Sitting down with that resident, understanding what that resident's what that household is like, what they're using, and trying to justify the number that's coming up on that bill when we get an actual read.
Okay. I've also received a number of complaints about the, quite frankly, just rude employees. Of course, them saying, it's describing this person. Do they have name tags or anything?
I don't think everybody does. So I think we interact with a lot of different people, and not everybody. And there may be even some people that sit in the back that weren't ever intentional to be in front of personnel that are in front of residents that are now because of our situation. So I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, we're all here to serve the residents.
Sure, absolutely.
Ergo, they are our boss, and I don't see the problem with good morning, yes sir, thank you very much, yes ma'am. Kind of answers, but in some cases it's I've never experienced it. I've never had to come in and complain about bills or anything.
Sure.
But in some instances there's almost a feeling of you're bothering me, go somewhere else kind of attitude with some of the employees, which I don't think should really be tolerated. You had something, Miss? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
We're gonna move through tonight.
No. you finance.
Yeah, I'm telling you, buddy.
Okay, so you roll.
He was really just saying this thing.
I got a question.
No, Mr. Wright first. Let's get it straight.
Blake, how many meter readers do we have right now?
We have 3 full-time manual meter readers. We're currently utilizing 2 meter readers to do electronic reads. They flip-flop duties, and that's our floater. And then we have 1 that does disconnects and reconnects.
How many did we have when you came in as director?
I didn't really know them, but I'm just trying to piece everybody.
Just numbers.
I think it was roughly the same amount.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I think it was. They were doing different duties, but I think it was roughly the same amount.
You and I have had lengthy discussion about your plan, and I've told you that I am cautiously optimistic.
Sure.
But what started this discussion with you and I was a resident who had their water bill after I think 7 to 8 months of estimation, and it was a $700, and I think Rob, you were there at the meeting, almost $800 water bill.
Right.
My concern, again, was just like everybody's, the length of time that it takes to estimate the bill.
Right.
The same resident, after we had this meeting and discussion, the same resident got another estimated bill.
Yes, sir.
I was on the same billing cycle. I got an estimated bill, and somebody on the other side of the billing cycle on another whole other neighborhood, different highway, got an estimated bill whose was, I think, 10 months estimated. So even with the estimations, they're not consistent within the own billing cycle. So that's why I had requested last week, I wanted to know with that individual bill, and I'm still waiting on that information, but that individual billing cycle, what days were they supposed to be reading those meters, and I want the GPS reports from those days. If I have to get it for every hour of those days, please give it to me.
Okay.
But I want to know where were they for that billing cycle, and why were they not reading every meter? Why is there inconsistencies even within the same cycle on the same street?
Right. So, okay, so I know the case you're speaking of, and I know we've talked about internally as well, is there are some that request rereads, and that's a specific case, that may not fall within a route, which, you know, depending on the cycle, have 5 to 10 routes in each cycle, right? That may not fall in a route that to keep us on a 30-day. What we're having to do is allocating X amount of days per cycle depending on the size of it. So if I can't get to every meter, we're moving on. And I have to, because I have to get to the other cycles to give a 30-day bill. So that 70% is not from number 0 to 70%. That 70% is from the start of each cycle to a certain point in that cycle. Because again, if it's 7 days that I'm allocated to go electronically read that area, and that fits within a 30-day cycle of me getting a bill out, then I have to stick to those 30 days. I will say this in the past, and when I discussed this, that is where, when they were trying to do manual reads previously, they were getting caught. Because they were staying in that cycle to try to complete a complete cycle, and they were pushing back the next cycle, and the next cycle, and the next cycle, and then they have to, oh, we got to hurry up and estimate everything. So even through a 1-month billing, it wasn't consistent. So the first half of the parish would be read, the second half of the parish would be completely all estimates. But then you didn't do the same cycle. You didn't consistently do the same thing the next month to get better at it. So there is going to be some of that inconsistency in the sense that if I didn't get to that route, it's unfortunately going to be an estimate one more month. My expectation is that I'm going to attempt to get to that next month, right? And then it would be consistently, if you were read last month, you should be read this month, and consistently from that point forward. And we would only be building upon that to go from 70% to more. I would have to take a look at those specific addresses because I did see it and see exactly what routes they fell into. And if I even, because I have a log that I know where everybody was and how many meters they read in that and when they completed that route. I don't even have to go to GPS so much as to look at that. And if it doesn't correlate, then I would go to something and say, okay, wait a second, they said they completed something. Maybe I need to go look at it more of a GPS. But at that point, for our discussion or for a further discussion with that situation, I think I can look at my charts and tell you this is where they were, this is what they read, you're en route, whatever. Yeah, we read half of that. I couldn't get to all of it because I had to cut them off to move to the next cycle to keep us on track.
And I can understand that, but when you're talking total different geographic areas, and one part of that same billing cycle is getting an actual reading every month, and they may have a few estimations, but then the other side is getting constant estimations for 7, 8, 9, 10 months.
Right.
That sounds more than poor planning, it's poor management.
Okay.
So, you know, please provide that information.
Okay.
And I would like to see the GPS reports for those days that they were supposed to be reading that billing cycle.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Horton.
Thank you, Councilman Madere. I have just a couple of quick questions. The first, and I've asked this for a while, and I know Blake, you just got in, but I requested this even over a year ago. But at what point will we have a true billing, like an online billing system, such as when I go to my energy account, I log in, I see what my last bill was, my consumption, my bill, it sends me an email, you know, Jacqueline, hello, your bill is ready for view. When will we have that capability implemented?
So with any implementation of a new program or a new system, billing side, or I'm sorry, meter side, that is built into a lot of those newer AMI programs, which is the automated programs, and they service that all in-house. Currently, we go through a third party, and it has nothing to do with our software that we bill with. Munis is supposed to come online, and when Munis comes online, I know on a billing end, it's going to help us a lot. I don't know on a customer portal. I think it's more of a financial software for the parish government. We would have to go third party, but the only other option is to go with it's when the meter program comes online. So it's when the whatever is decided on the path forward with the meters, and whatever decision is made there, that's when that's going to be built in. I don't know that there's anything. I'm not very satisfied with the current whatever we're using, but I know we're trying to get to that next step because the customer portal is where it's at. It's where somebody can go in and even look at their daily consumption to try to check, and it can send a flag if it gets over a certain many gallons in a day, and send you an email. Like, those are the types of things where we're getting at, so that we can provide that information, because that's where we are in 2018, is wanting that instantaneous data, and certainly with the concerns that people have had of our system in the past. You know, we want to build that confidence back. So it is just tied to whatever next upgrade we do, Ms. Othard. I think that's where it's going to be.
Let me ask this, or say this. Whether we upgrade to a new water meter, or whether we go back to a manual read, no matter what method we use to actually read the meters, we still need to implement a billing system that allows the customer portal. So I don't want to feel like until we decide which direction we're going, which my question 2 and 3 are going to build on that,
right,
we should have, whether it's through third party, and I even suggested that over a year ago, there's no word that I can actually say on TV right now to describe the system that we have.
Sure.
Customers should be able, just like all of the other utilities, to go in and see the bill, because then this whole issue that we have now where the bills aren't getting out on time, they're not getting mailed, you're getting an erroneous disconnect notice. For those of us who do use technology, you would be able to at least log in and see, okay, this was really done in error. You know, this is current. It would actually take some of the calls away from the utility department if we could have it.
Right.
So and I'm saying that to say the answer isn't, it depends on which direction we're going
right,
with the billing system. I want to know whether it's through CFO, when will you come to the council, or CFO or Natalie come to us and say, this is the third party we can use, or this is what we can use to have regular online billing systems for our customers, just as all of the other utilities have them. The system we have, like I said, there's no word that I can say now. Even when you want to go in and actually pay, you get kicked out,
right,
your password's got to be updated. So, I mean, it's just, it's nonsense.
I agree.
And all of the other utilities just work so beautifully. So, I mean, it's possible.
Yes.
And it's not even 2018 technology. This is, 2005 technology. We're just behind it. So when will we have something presented to us to say, this is what we could do, this is what it's going to cost. We're already paying this third-party company $2 every month to collect the payments. I want an answer on
So
that.
I will say in the short term, it's a 9-month process.
To come to us with a recommendation?
To be able to implement, for any newer technology to engage into the level of what you're asking for, based on the AS400 system that we're operating, that is the most basic we can do. I mean, what the bill, it's in my opinion, the topping out would producing the bills that it produces on a given month.
So it's 9 months from the date that you all actually decide to implement a system?
Well, that's the next module in Munis that is supposed to be implemented in the parish with the financial system.
So you're saying 9 months from today, we're going to have a customer portal where
we're going to have a software that it's going to give us, in conjunction we could have that, yes, because we would have a software that would allow us to, the billing side, to generate what it needs to generate, to integrate with a third-party system that is maybe a little more up-to-date than what we're currently working with. Yes.
You want to answer that, or
Yes,
and I'll go?
wait a minute. Once again, I'll let him answer that. Okay. He already spoken that he wanted to speak next, so I'm gonna control
I just
it.
want to make sure that I maintain the floor because I have 2 other questions.
I got you. That's all.
You got it.
Thank you, Councilman. To answer your question, the current billing utility system will not allow us to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to upgrade our system. Again, you said 2005 technology. This technology is from 1980.
Yeah.
So it can't possibly do what you are looking for it to do. With that said, the parish has purchased an ERP software program that will get us to that point or allow us to do that. However, it has to be implemented. We just finished implementing the financial aspect of it, and the next model that we have purchased already is the billing utility aspect of it. However, from the time that we begin the implementation of it, it's a 9-month implementation. So from the time that we start implementing that process, we're estimating 9 months just to get it up and running. Because again, you're talking about implementation, training, conversion. Everything has to be done manually from the old system to the new system. So it's a very cumbersome process. And this is our consulting company that we purchased software from, is telling us 9 months worth of implementation. So from the time that we start that implementation, I'm not going to say 9 months exactly from that day, because as with this financial software, when we went live on January 1st, we had our bumps and bruises, and then we're still working through a lot of processes, and we're getting there. But again, it is it's a cumbersome process that will take time, but it has been purchased. It's just a matter of when we start implementing, and it was impossible for us to implement simultaneously, because again, you have to implement the financial side of the house first prior to bringing in the utility billing portion of it. So again, that is on the table. We are in the process of getting to that point where we can start that implementation, and hopefully in the foreseeable future we will start implementing that. But again, it's a 9-month implementation from the start of that process.
Okay, Ms. Otto?
Thank you. And whenever I mentioned 2005, I wasn't talking about our technology. I was talking about the capability, the rest of the world has been able to have online logins, at least as long as I can remember, to log into Energy and Atmos and AT&T. So it's not like this is a 2018 technology that just happened a month ago and I'm expecting you to have it rolled out tomorrow. This is something that's been out there for a long time. But again, the question, when? I don't want a long paragraph. I want to know, when will we have it available where our customers can log in, see their bills, and get an email if they subscribe to the system that says, hey, your bill is ready, go online to pay it. When will we have that?
Thank you.
I will check with our current system to see if there's any upgrades we can get through that in the interim. But as it stands, from what we're looking for, is 9 months, and we can do it coincide that with that 9-month process.
But 9 months from when? 9 months from right now? Jackie, put it on the agenda. I would just provide me with a date in 2 weeks, because I don't want you to keep giving me this long answer.
We don't have the answer at that point.
Yeah, put it on the agenda to get an update. I have two more questions.
All right, you got 2 more questions?
2 more.
Okay.
The second thing, we asked, this council asked at several meetings and a few meetings more recently to get a report from administration on whether or not we were going to look at manual reading or go back to manual reading or continue with purchasing of the software. We even brought up if it means us redoing, let's say, the job description so that we could attract a candidate, or if we go the route of contractors. I wasn't at the last meeting, so that's at least a month ago that we made this request. Are you ready to deliver to us a report on which way we need to go? What's the cost on both routes? And have we actually looked at having outside contractors read the meters in the interim?
To your first question, no, we're not ready.
Not ready to provide
present anything officially. I will say we have had conversations with plenty of people, including third-party contractors and including third-party or private utility companies that use third-party contractors. So we've had a lot of that discussion. I got some rough numbers. I am actually currently waiting on somebody to give me an official number from a company for the exact number of meters we have, but I got a rough estimate of like $1.50 to $1. I think it was $1.25 to $1.50 a meter is what I was told off, just in a conversation. But that's nothing official that I've gotten on paper. It's not a proposal. That's, of course, that's having access to every meter. That's having it all above ground. That's having it ready to walk up to and read, which we know is not the case currently. So there is a lot of factors in that, but we're not ready officially, but we are working on it.
Let me say this, and I know, Blake, you just came into this, but I requested this information probably a year ago to give us a side-by-side comparison. This is when we were actually thinking about putting out RFPs. It's like you're a broken record up here. It gets exhausting. You get tired of coming. You're talking about the same thing. It's like useless. But almost a year ago, I asked for a side-by-side comparison because we, as a body, were going to be asked to vote to purchase a new meter system, very expensive, millions of dollars, without really having the knowledge of, is this the way to go? Can we afford a Cadillac system? We could afford a Cadillac, but can we afford to maintain it? Do we need to go back to manual reading? That's over a year ago. We should at least have received some information so that we can know which direction we're going. We still don't know which direction we're going right now, and we asked to have the roadmap a year ago. So I'm asking, maybe put that on the agenda too, at the next meeting, provide to us, and it was requested a year ago, so this is a timely request, provide to this council option A, option B, and C. Option A would be manual reads with employees. Option B would be electronic reading. Option C would be manual reading with contractors. And we want to be able to look and see how much is this all going to cost us, what direction we need to go in. Right now, we're just spinning our wheels. I can't even tell the public what we're going to do tomorrow. And it's not that we have not asked for it. So that's what I'd like to get in 2 weeks, option A, B, and C. And if there's anything else that you all would like to add to it that would help us in that decision-making process, please provide it. But at the minimum, I like that information.
If you don't mind, as I get closer to putting that on paper and getting that on paper, I may reach out to you to just try to fine-tune and see if there's anything else you would thought of and you want to add. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Let's bring this discussion down a little bit to the level where probably about 75% of our people who's listening can get a better understanding of what we're doing. Are we still getting erroneous readings often?
Right.
Like a lady came in here last week, I had an $1,800 bill.
Well, the issue is it's not erroneous in the sense that it's just a random number. In some cases, it's a skewed number, and what we're seeing is that when we achieved, so we read 5,000 more people this month than we have in the past. When we read those 5,000, they had gotten estimated bills up to a certain point, and we've talked about it. It may be 8, 10, 12, 14 months. If we either underestimated or overestimated, that number is going to look a little crazy, because that actual read is going to make up the difference one way or the other. Whether it's going to be, we've seen some that showed a negative consumption for a month, right, because we've overbilled in the past and had to sit down and do an adjustment and do a credit, on the opposite end. More than likely, we're hearing a lot of the ones that come in that are saying, I have a high bill, and it's because we've underestimated for so many months. So yes, we are having those, and we're going to see, unfortunately, we're going to see more of those, because as we continue to get from estimates to actuals, that's going to happen more often. The goal of the consistency that we're going to read you actually from month to month is that we're not going to allow that to happen again. We're not wanting to get slipped back into, and Councilman Wright alluded to that, we don't want to slip back into, I'm going to come read you one time, we're going to go through this process and figuring out your bill and working with you and trying to correct it, and then I'm going to go right back into estimating you month to month to month to month to month. So, because as soon as I get another actual, you're going to come to me again with the same issue, and we don't want to perpetuate that issue.
So what is an estimated bill? How do you estimate a bill?
The estimated bill is based it's in our software. It's in AS400 actually performs the estimation based on historical data that it does have.
In layman terms,
the program does it and takes its history and tries to calculate the best closest estimation to what your water usage would be for that month. And it's obviously not always right, except for Mr. Malick's case. Except for Mr. Malick's case. I know it's unfortunate. I don't mean to laugh about it, because it is a serious situation that we're trying to work on. So,
well, I heard one of our constituents came and mentioned the fact that, and it kind of aroused my attention a little bit. Yes, and the fact that every month the last bill gonna drop off, so what can happen to the estimate.
It changed, right?
I was looking at the estimate when we started having these problems. I think Mr. Madad and I talked about that, and I went back and looked at my bill for 18 months on the computer, and I could have averaged my bill. I could have averaged it out, and I thought maybe that was the average. But now we're saying the computer doing this work, or the software doing this work, and that's how we get these estimates. Maybe that's how we get the erroneous Are we with the average? Are we getting erroneous readings? Or are we just getting reading because it was average 1 week, right, and next month it was read manual?
Yes. Yeah. What I've been working on and what I've seen since I've gotten engaged, that your second explanation. When we go from estimations
Right.
to actual is when that bill, and some call it a spike, some call it a erroneous reading, but that's when you see a consumption that is not consistent with a monthly use. And on one way or the other, it's a consumption that's not consistent, which then turns a bill into a bill that's not consistent with a single monthly use in a normal household.
Well,
and it's either making up for old bills, underbilling in the past, or it's you get a credit because you get basically zero because we've overestimated you for so long. So it's on both sides of the coin on that.
So if I done got into this, this I don't know what you would call a paranormal, whereas now I got this bill here for $300. I mean, it's not $300 is a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
Some people it's not very much. Some people it's a month's income.
Yes, sir.
If I done got into this situation whereas now I can't pay all this bill,
right.
And if I don't pay it, I still get the added charges. Am I right? The penalties. Each month that I carry a bill, or I try to pay a little bit on it, I still get the added charges. Am I right?
Yes, from a program standpoint. So the program automatically does that.
So I'm
getting
charged a penalty.
Well,
if I don't pay the whole
case by case discussion, you're being charged on the bill. It's not to say that you're going to have to pay that. It's just saying that that's what it's nature of the program. It's going to run any outstanding bill and run a penalty on that bill. We worked case by case, and we worked with individuals to inform them that in certain cases that's not going to apply if we're open and honest and we work with each other on these bills.
And we've got people and I understand where you're coming from, and I'm trying to make a point here, is that penalties can keep adding up. People
Right.
just can't catch up.
Right.
Now there is a situation you say whereas we just stop. We don't charge the penalties.
Well,
but you get to come in and talk to normal.
The difficulty would be The difficulty is that if month to month, if it's a bill that needs to be paid off over time, and if it's month to month, that is us stopping and adjusting the penalty every time that bill goes out. And what we like to do in a conversation or in an agreement or anything we sit down and talk with a resident on is say that, hey, I'm more worried about if you say $300, Councilman, I'm worried about that $300. So when you satisfy paying that $300, then we'll talk about any of this extra, the penalties. But that is on a case by case. It has to be something that you can't just be ignored, obviously, if you're just not paying your bill. This is on a specific case that you're discussing on a bill that came out that was higher because of a leak or because of the situation we're currently, anything like that where that it's brought to Norma's attention or the staff's attention, we'll work with that individual resident and work toward.
So they got to come in and get that done, though.
Yes, sir. To be aware that is on the books, and what we're doing is we're tracking everybody now. We're trying to put everybody on a list that we're working with so that we can ensure that we're closing these things out and moving forward down the line with actual accurate reads. That's what we're.
And we do have people on plans.
We do have some,
people on,
but I mean, and we've discussed on several meetings that those don't always work out in the favor of anyone, for that matter, because people don't hold to it, and it's we've tried historically.
Well, I'm looking at it, and I think I mentioned this before, is that we are not going to collect the money that's owed us unless we do something.
Right.
And if we keep putting penalties on it, then it will keep going up. Right. And I understand that. And they didn't pay the bill, it's high. So you got to do something. I'm still an advocate of coming up with plans.
Right.
You understand that? I mean, I don't know if you even thought about this, but I know I've mentioned a couple of times where you ever given any thought. That's entirely up to you, but we still having problems over here. In that, why can't we have a plan whereas you pay this bill off, but here's your regular bill. You got to pay both every month. Now, if you miss paying them, then we're going to cut you off.
Right.
This, to me, that would help us collect some of the money, because I know what's going to happen. People just going to get somebody else to put a meter in the yard, and they're going to change the name, and that's going to be it. We're going to lose that money.
Mrs. Snyder, that's how it's supposed to work.
Right.
Just what you said. They're supposed to pay their current bill.
Well, you said pay your current bill. I got a $500
like
bill.
the month bill. Pay your bill
Right,
for the month.
right.
Okay, which is your current bill.
Right.
And then typically it doesn't make sense for you to enter into an agreement at an amount that they can't pay.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
where the individual discussion comes in. If you have a $300 back bill, how much of this can you pay a month? It might take you 6 months.
Right.
But you got to pay it over 6 months, but you also have to keep your bill current.
Right.
That is how it is supposed to work. And again, if you're on a payment plan, you're not supposed to be penalized. But those all require some individual work. We've had several meetings on this, and there are some plans in place. For those of you who are talking about the estimates are a problem. Again, it was decided at this council meeting to use estimates when the employees were not keeping up. And we had to get bills out. And people were getting bills after 45 days or 50 days. It's like, we got to get a bill out. And that was discussed at this meeting. However, when you go back and look, and many people have their bills, my direction has been clearly what all of you say will work. If you're going to start averaging higher bills, so you can't use that because the regular one is probably dropped off. So you have to go back and find the actual readings. What is your typical bill? Whether that's through the resident or in your system. If you only have 3 actuals, and those actuals say $69 a month, then that's what their bill is.
Right.
And that's what they're being directed to use. You're right. If you estimate it for 12 or 14 months, you're going to have high numbers because it's including those estimates. So we're trying to track back to actual readings and utilizing those readings to determine what your actual bill should have been over the 12 months.
I think Mr. Mydell brought that up a year ago. Say the exact same thing. Well, what you're saying right now, I mean, let's look at bills for 8 months or so. And with that average, I really wouldn't mind doing that on my bill. And if you give me 9 months, get an average for 9 months, and give me an average, I'm satisfied with that. But it seems like we can't go. We're not doing that. And I think you just said it a little while ago, and I heard a lady in here said it earlier, is that we're going with 18 months, the lower bill drop off, a higher bill come on, now your average is going to jump up here, or it went down this way. And I think we need to get away from that point. Now let me ask you, this is my last observation.
Mrs. Snyder, can I add to that? I think the computer program does that. What you just talked about, the computer, that's why you have to get in and do it manually.
You got to do it manually.
You got to do it manually. You got to go back because we already know they're getting that high bill because it's generated through the computer system. But if you have a record, and like I said, if you only have 3 actual, if you only have 4 actual, well, this your actual. So that's what the bills should have been. So that's the direction they've been given. Most people may not have all their bills, but we have enough data. And as Blake has said, he can go back in archives. We're just trying to go back to the actual readings. That's what it should be. The other thing that I think would be helpful if you can quickly get it up, people know how much your usage is. You know, the machines, when you can pull data from them, you can tell exactly when people are using water. You know what a typical household should use. You know, unless there's a leak or a problem, there's a basic number that people use in terms of consumption. And that's where we need to be. Unless there's a problem, for example, the freeze, or if you have a major break or something like that, there's a typical usage for a 4-person household. There's a typical usage for a 2-person household. Of course, we have to consider if there are pools, but for the most part, we should know what that should be. And if we don't have it here, we should be able to calculate it. So that's the direction in my meetings that we've been in. I'm not sure if it's fully implemented yet, but that's where we're going.
My last thing is this. I knew we had a problem in some rural areas finding meters. But in our new areas, in our new North and Alabama Highway over here, we shouldn't have that much of a problem finding meters. I think what to do manually. I don't know how many they got down there, but they got there at least have 8,000 of them, 10,000 of them in LaPlace over here. If we got 17,000. That's what I'm thinking. Why we can't do those manually? They're easy to get to. Most of them, 99% of them, easy to get to. In North LaPlace.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I 100% agree with you. What we're trying to do is I'm trying to get a full month's data. I want to see how many in each cycle was read electronically, how many in each cycle was read manually. I want to see how many a day they were reading manually in certain cycles because, like you said, in LaPlace specifically, it makes no sense for me to spend a whole day driving down Cambridge Drive if the electronic meter is going to pick, or reader is going to pick up 2, and I got a guy walking down Cambridge Drive that can pick it up in less than 5 minutes. And so we're trying to become more efficient and get to the point where if I don't need that electronic person, he can be reading meters somewhere else.
He could be doing something else, and I think that should be our going forward. That should be our policy. We're gonna read half, and however we decide to do it. and we have electronic on the other hand, because this problem will come back. I might be
certainly
dead
trying to
and
make it
gone,
work. Yeah,
but this
absolutely.
problem will come back.
And that's why we're trying to build the foundation, Councilman, like you said, of getting something consistent so that we can maintain it. And I agree with you. We're on the same page with that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Mallett.
Quick question for you. Roughly how many phone calls, how many people do you have coming in here specifically about their utility bill?
The last I looked, I think it was about a week ago, we were getting, I'd say anywhere from 20 to 60 calls. And I'd have to get with Norma to get how many people she's seen in the last week or so.
Is that daily?
Daily, yes, sir.
20 to 60 calls.
Yes, sir. I will say, I'm breaking that down so I can get you better numbers on that.
Sure.
Each day they're logging it in the back in categories, whether
Okay.
it's about, with Councilman Hotard, ask about the velocity billing. Like a lot of those are billing or balances or different things like that. And then I have certainly the ones that are calling about due dates, which I'm hoping in the next month that goes away because people are going to start seeing consistent due dates and consistent billing bills coming out the door. So some of those we're trying to tailor off, but I can get you an absolute breakdown since we started tracking it on all the bills and as well as all the people that personnel that come in.
So you're essentially doing a self-audit, which I think is a
Yes,
good
sir.
idea.
We're starting to put numbers down.
But in order to help the people that really need the help, do you have anything automated phone systems? If you want this, press number 1.
When you call,
which I don't particularly care for, but
what's that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm saying I don't particularly care for those systems.
Yeah. The one that's set up that you when you call the billing number, there is a very generic one that says if you need this, this, or this. There's also one on the bill. There's a 1877 number on the top of the bill, and it says to pay your bill. But you can actually get your account balance and other things from that automated system as well. But I'm kind of got my hand in a couple of different fires, and one of those is trying to track the calls that are coming in and either streamline where they go.
Yeah.
So that people have those answers, or put that information out to the public, whether it be on the website or whether it be in a bill, so that maybe that those calls don't come in, so that we can actually focus on the calls that we do really need to handle and give more time to those customers.
A resident takes a snapshot of the reading, realizes that their bill is they've been overestimated.
Okay.
I bring that bill in, or excuse me, that photograph in here that's time stamped on my phone, whether it's an Android or an Apple. Is that proof positive that I'm being overbilled as far as your billing department's concerned?
Well, I will say this. I think we would still want somebody to go out to the site. I would ask that.
Yeah, just to
we would
verify.
use that. We would take that and use that and put that with the work order. Would certainly want our employees to take a look at the site, take a look at the meter, take a look at the area, and just try to get a eyes on. But yeah, I mean that is something that's going to start an investigation and start the correction process.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Wright.
Thank you. I'm glad Councilman Hotard brought this up earlier. Blake, just a suggestion: when you're doing this research and you come back to us with a recommendation at the next meeting, why can't we even just get contract? We'll divide up the parish. We'll look at the billing cycles. You have the routes. Put contract meter readers on a certain segment of the parish. That way, our employees can only focus on a small area and then expand upon it. Because going back to the 6-month plan, we're hoping that works. We're also relying on the same employees in place to do the job. So let's maybe start with contract meter readers and then allow our own employees to gradually work their way up reading more meters. That way our residents don't have to wait 6 months or even 9 months for a new system once we implement it. And then that's going to slow down the bleeding a lot more rather than us trying to develop a plan that we've been talking about since last year.
And I understand that, Councilman, and I appreciate that. We can look into it, and we can certainly put something on paper. I just say it's a very complex, moving thing when it comes to an outdated billing software. So it's not just about getting the meters read. It's about processing those bills. It's about handling the customer.
But if we can get the meters read on time, we've fixed the majority of the problems.
But I agree, and that's the push.
So let's start there.
In-house.
Let's start there while we're working in-house getting the software changed, because then we're not talking about it for 6 to 9 plus months on top of the 12 months that we've already been talking about it before. That way we are getting actual readings to our residents consistently every month, and then we can get our employees to gradually expand upon what they're already doing. It may cost us a little more, but our residents are going to be happy. It's less work for our employees. It's less stress on you guys, and we can actually work towards a problem than constantly try to do damage control and react. Be proactive, not reactive. And that's my question, and I hope that will be some sort of recommendation at the next council meeting.
Okay, Mr. Becknell.
Yes, excuse me. Blake.
Yes, sir.
This is a simple question. And the most frequently asked questions I've been getting on my side of the river, in both districts really. Let me say this to you. I got a friend, or a guy, who's been averaging $59.95 a month for like 6 months in a row. Then he gets this bill, $759.95. First thing he called, the department gonna say you must have a leak. He said, come on over, let's look. There's no leak. He come back to you all, you say, pay the $59.95. It's an error. That's fine and dandy. The individual is very happy. Okay? And we expect spikes sometime, so the next month he could see the bill going maybe from 59 to 62. But why that infamous $700 keep appearing? Why? How simple is it to just say credit, credit? Take that $700, kill it, bury it, flush it down the toilet. It keep coming back 3-4 months in a row. $762, $770, $759. Get rid of the $700. I'm just using it as a number. Right. How hard is that for somebody to sit in accounting? That's simple. A kindergarten could do that. Scratch that $700 off. Why I got to keep appearing? And every month is the same thing over and over again. I don't have a leak. I don't have a leak. But yes, 762, 750. That's where the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, on this council. Scratch when it spike. If you know it's a mistake of $800, take that $800. Like I said, get rid of it. But it comes back again and again. And I can bring that individual here, and he can show you. He even had an attorney look at it. It's unbelievable.
Councilman Offline, I wouldn't be able to answer that in that individual case, but I would like to get at least the address of that individual offline.
Oh, he solved it by now. He solved it.
No, I understand that, but it's still something that we need to understand, and something I would like to understand is why maybe the accounting or what's causing that, and I want to know that. And so
I mean, if you said it was an error for $700, then you take it off.
Someone else said there was an error. I'm not going to say.
Well, Blake, let's get real. That man is not an idiot if he knew his bill $59.95 and it jumped to $759. It's an error.
Okay. And
it's going to be an error. It's an error.
And I believe that. Okay, Ms. Hotar.
Thanks. I'll be quick. And actually, I'm looking at a bill right here, and this is an auto draft for $719, 1 month. The previous balance was paid auto draft. They even wrote a handwritten note on the bill saying your bill's under review, call the billing department, which is beyond me, because if you could take the time to write a note on the bill to say your bill is under review, why don't you contact the customer instead of telling the customer call the billing department, which they did, and still haven't gotten a call back. But just 2 little things really quick. I know it was mentioned we talked about estimates and all this at the council meeting. I never thought that was a good job. And we're seeing some of the problems right now, because when we're estimating bills, in some cases, it's a correct estimate, but we're actually going back on some people that we estimated at a certain number and then said, oh, now when we got an actual reading, we realized we undercharged you. So now you owe us all this back money. Well, that's problematic also. So, and I don't want to have any resident who we've estimated bills, and then once we get actual readings, we go back and say, we underbilled you for 6 months, you owe us $100. That's just problems all the way around.
Agree.
Another problem, and I think Mr. Snyder touched on some of this too, and I want to ask, do we have the capability when someone makes a payment arrangement? Because I agree with what Councilman Snyder says, you keep generating these penalties. So do we have the capability of, let's say, account, your bill and then like a sub account? So if you enter into a payment arrangement on this $300 to make a $25, $50 payment every month to catch it up, that sub account isn't generating a late fee every single month, because then you're spinning your wheels trying to get it down when it's accumulating a late fee. If someone comes in and they make an actual payment arrangement in good faith that says, I'm going to, get this balance down, we should not be accumulating the late fees. Do we have the capability of separating those two accounts?
I'll have to look into that on the AS400 system. I know the other idea maybe would be to put a freeze.
Yeah, the answer's no.
Well, to put a freeze on the whatever is generating that penalty in that account for a certain amount of time. That may
Right,
be
until it
another
gets
option.
down.
Yeah, so we'll look into that certainly for any future pay arrangements or anything that we would get into where we're trying to work, obviously, with the residents. I'll look into that, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. I have a couple of comments about this water issue. First of all, okay, you mentioned that they have a hard time finding some of the meters, older meters. I do know for a fact that in the reserve area, when you go down each one of the streets, all the meters are to the road in everybody's yard. Down every street, the meter is to the road. Okay, nowhere parish have meters on individual people property. It's always to the front on the servitude. So I don't see why it would take somebody 4 hours to find somebody meter. Okay, and if they're going around probing, only just go to Walmart and buy a metal detector. Okay, metal detector, and just walk along that area to the front, and when it beep, probably a meter there. Okay, all the meters, if you go down East 26, 27, 28, 30, all the way down in the reserve, all the way to Garreville, all the meters are to the front of the property, down the streets, either on the left side or the right side. No one have a meter 10 feet inside the property line, because we are not allowed to even go on their property. So how could we service that meter to do any kind of work? So all meters are on the front, all of them, everywhere. So it shouldn't take anyone 4 hours. If someone out there looking for a meter 4 hours, his name must be Ray Charles or somebody, because you should be able to find it. Okay, you should be able to find a meter. It shouldn't take anyone 4 hours to find a meter. Okay. The next comment is the program that you're talking about implementing. Okay, and like Mr. Snyder said, we probably be all dead and going if this situation ever come up again. But the programs that run the parish need to be updated all the time. Okay, because we're dealing with something from 1980 and we got a 2018 problem. Okay, and the comment I made when this problem first started, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Because if that thing had the capability of doing what I said, was to average everybody's bill for 12 months and let them pay that until we hash around what we would do with the meters. And everyone would have been getting a consistent bill on a 30-day period, just being generated like that. Okay? So it's a failure of previous administration not to update and keep up what's going on. Okay? So that's why we're here today, a year and a half. And people still coming to my house, still calling, okay? And I'm a person that don't get frustrated too much when someone call me that's a constituents, because I'm supposed to try to help them. But I don't know what to tell them anymore. You get tired of telling them the same thing for a year and a half. Okay? So that's the only thing. Now, if they want to find meters, it's to the front of the property. Not too many feet from the road. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mallett, is also your item? Have we basically covered it?
Not really.
No? Okay. Calculate it.
Oh, explain to me the formula that you use to calculate these bills. If what I'm asking is if I have 18 months worth of fake readings, all right. How are you figuring that out?
And I know this is not. I know we had a lengthy discussion the other day, and what I'll say, it's on a case-by-case basis, depending on what that situation is. Whether it's 8, 9, 10 months, 13 months, whatever it is. If we run averages and look at it at every individual basis, it is coming up with something different. I've started and stopped in the last 2 weeks, and I think these two can attest to it very wholeheartedly. In every step I take in a direction that I think I have it solved, we're coming up with different issues. And it's not necessarily just the calculation itself, it's the processing time, it's the manpower, it's the whole, to how to get this as a one unit running. I don't have that answer, Councilman. I don't have a set formula that says this is how we calculate it. I don't. And we're continuously working, but I don't have something that is a magic bullet at this point.
It just seems reasonable to me that if I take a look at my history and I have an actual reading 11 months ago,
right,
and if I take an actual reading today, I can get the average for 365 days, or actually be 330 days, right? But anyway, if I start plugging those numbers in each day and then breaking that up into 30-day periods, that would be a lot closer, and that seems fairly simple.
I agree with you. I think we could sit down and go over some, and I'll show you where I have some reservations on any of these. I mean, I've run several scenarios to try to, again, figure it out. And I think I agree that's reasonable, but Councilman Holtord did step away, but she also said, is it fair to come back and say, you owe me money even if it's from 10 months ago? And so there's been questions, and there's been, if we set payment plans, we've talked about all that stuff has all been revolving around trying to figure out what we're gonna, come to the table with for the residents to move forward, and try to get away. And again, and Councilman Wright has said it every time we talk to him: consistency and removing that deviation. And that's what we're trying to do is to be consistent. This is the one hangnail that we have, is to try to get this taken care of so that everybody can take a deep breath, know where the path is going, and go forward. I can't stand here and tell you that the X plus Y equals Z right now. I don't think
and granted, sir, that you walked into this job, what,
I don't recall.
90 days ago, at the most.
I'm here, and
so
and
you're resolving. I understand that you're resolving issues that you accepted.
Sure.
So I don't think you walked in here with rose-colored glasses on. But anyway, I appreciate that. So
I will look forward to trying to get something that I can present to you guys. I'll certainly look forward to more conversations and see if we can't understand specific cases that you may see, or any of y'all may see. I'll do my best to address each one.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have any executives. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Wright had a comment. Go ahead.
Blake, just want to ask an obvious question. The more water you consume based on this tier amount, the more water and sewage you're going to pay?
Sewer is a flat rate, so yes. Water, if it's per gallon, it's you actually pay less to use more.
Based off of, but I'm just asking, based off of this chart, it shows that as the consumption level rises, the charge for sewer rises.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the event we're having these residents going back 7, 8, 9, 10 months of estimated bills, and they get hit with this large bill, are we even taking into consideration that they're being charged a higher rate?
Yes. They're actually being charged per gallon. They're actually being charged a lesser rate because it's being billed all at once. So the most expensive water is the lower amounts. It drops down and then it goes up way well into the industry. It is actually a couple cents to 10 cents less, but we are. And that's part of the difficulty is the varying rate. If it was all a flat rate, it'd be a lot easier to say.
Well, I only ask, and I've never calculated based off of the rates, but the bills that I've looked at that have been 700 plus have had no adjustments in the bill on price. It's strictly, this is your actual reading, this is your consumption, and this is your price.
And that's what we're trying to get at, is we're trying to get ahead of that. And so, yeah, instead of sending something that says, hey, we're looking at your account, we're hoping to send something that says your account's being, we already know your situation because we've reviewed your account and we know exactly how we're going to handle that case, and we're going to handle that case prior to going out the door.
So it is safe to say if a resident has had a couple of $100 charge on a water bill, that they are being overcharged on the rate, and that needs to be adjusted?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
If the resident gets hit with an actual bill and they're being charged for, I don't know how many thousands of gallons, and the bill is $800, are they being charged a higher rate?
They're being charged more on that bill, but not a higher rate per gallon. No, they're being charged a lower rate per gallon. It's just a lot more volume, so the price is much higher.
I just want to make sure that the consumption volume wasn't a correlation with the price and a higher rate.
No, so as you use more on a bill, the price per gallon or per 1,000 gallon goes down.
All right.
But it is taken into consideration. That's part of our another complexity to what we're trying to solve. So
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
I got one question.
Okay, Blake, Mr. Snyder had one question.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. No problem.
I was reading some information that you sent out, someone sent out today, and that maybe down here, but high usage of water, depending on over 500,000 gallons or something like that, it's negotiated.
Yes. We don't have any of those rates. That's from.
I'm
I'm
just
just letting you know. I've
negotiation.
never dealt with that. That's part of the ordinance, and I think that's just how the ordinance read since it's been in existence. We don't have any customers that use.
I think that may have been in place when Pepsi and some of those large volume users,
Right.
And that was approved at that point. But
so we don't have a process to negotiate.
We have a process, but
no, sir.
We're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I went to look for the order. I couldn't find the order.
Okay.
This is not solvable at a council.
Okay. Okay, Blake. Thank you. Mr. Becknell asked to be recognized. He have something.
I would like to make a motion to give the employees a half a day off Thursday, if it's all right with y'all. Suspend the rules.
We'd have to
suspend the rules
first. Then
Okay.
Suspend the rules.
All right. Let's just suspend the rules. Okay, make a motion.
Suspend the rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's second?
We're gonna get a second on that. Second by Mr. Mallett. Okay,
No,
you.
Mr. Pearl.
Oh, Mr. Pearl. Okay, I'm sorry.
They added the agenda to give the.
Right.
The employees a half a day off.
Right. Use your legs.
Okay.
Wait, that carries 7 in favor with 2 absent.
2 absent.
Jacqueline's not here. so
Okay,
that
7 in
carries.
favor, 2 absent. Okay. Now, Mr.
Now I would like to make a motion to allow the employees to give the employees a half a day off Thursday.
On Thursday.
On Thursday.
Okay, I need a second on that one.
Back now, I need a second.
Need a
What?
second?
Well, hold on. They're absent, right? They don't count them. It's unanimous.
Absent.
Yeah, there was 2 absent. So it's unanimous.
And it's unanimous outside of that. Nobody voted against the suspension.
Okay, now I need a second on that motion.
For the half a day off.
Okay, I'll second it myself then.
Second?
Huh?
Which second?
Mr. Pearl will second it.
Okay.
Okay, use your lights again.
Okay, turn off Jacqueline's light.
Turn off
please,
Jacqueline's
Mr.
light.
Mallett. That carries 7 in favor with 2 absent.
Okay, 7 in favor, 2 absent, so half a day for the employees on Thursday, Holy Thursday. Okay, thank you. There's no executive session. Okay, introduction of ordinance.
Okay, we have 5 ordinances. Ordinance 1805, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 21 of the St. John the Baptist Parish Code of Ordinances to establish and define the St. John the Baptist Parish precinct boundaries, merge and consolidate precincts, and establish precinct polling places. Change polling location from precinct 2-3 from Parish Health Unit 473 Central Avenue Reserve to St. Peter's School, LaCour Center, 188 West 7th Street in Reserve, Louisiana. Ordinance 1806, an ordinance amending Ordinance 1750 relative to the annual operating budgets for the St. John the Baptist Parish Juvenile Detention Fund, Fire Services Fund, Economic Development Fund, 2009 Bond Fund, 2015 Bond Fund, and Isaac CDBG Recovery Fund for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018. Ordinance 1807, an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of a portion of Form Lot 31 of Woodland Plantation lying south of U.S. Highway 61, East Airline Highway, and north of the L&A Railroad into lots 31A and 31B of Form Lot 31 of Woodland Plantation, located in the area generally bounded by East Airline Highway, the Kansas City Southern, L&A Railroad, Robin Street, and Mallard Street, LaPlace, Louisiana, as shown in a survey prepared by Stephen P. Flint, PLS, on October 31st, 2017. Ordinance 1808, an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of Tract 1 of Star Plantation Subdivision into Tracts 1A and 2A of Star Plantation Subdivision, located in the area generally bounded by the Illinois Central Railroad, Highway 44, West 19th Street and West 20th Street, Terre Haute Plantation, Reserve, Louisiana, as shown in a survey prepared by Stephen P. Flynn, PLS, on February 16, 2018. Ordinance 1809, an ordinance amending St. John the Baptist Parish Code of Ordinances, specifically Chapter 14, Fees and Charges, and Chapter 36, street sidewalks and other public places, to modify standards, fees, and related items pertaining to the installation and maintenance of culverts within the public right-of-way of parish servitudes, parish-wide.
Thank you. Presidential remarks.
Yes, we kind of talked about the Leaders Against Litter. So again, we want to thank those who came out and helped us with that. We'd also like to thank all the volunteers who worked on the Easter egg hunts, both on the East and West Bank. Thanks to the West Bank Civic Association and Pastor David Ford with Celebration Church. I was out of town for a funeral and wasn't able to attend, but it's my understanding they went off well. We do want to wish everybody a great Easter, and hopefully the weather will hold out. We'd also like to thank or congratulate our 14-year-old All-Stars for winning the 14-year-old Biddy basketball regional tournament last week. The tournament was hosted in Slidell, and the team went undefeated, which is great. We have great athletes, and they continue to do good things. Most of the players on this team have been involved in recreation since they were 5 years old and will not be returning, so we definitely want to thank them for their participation and dedication to the department and all those family members who helped them. The rosters, names, photos, and more on the parish's website at sjbparish.com. We'd also like to congratulate Jamie and John Ngati on the recent grand opening and ribbon cutting of the Buttons and Bows Playground. The new 1,800 square foot indoor playground is located at 2021 West Airline Highway in LaPlace. It's in the New Wine Shopping Center, where Fred's was previously located. It features a playground for infants and toddlers, virtual reality playground, a snack station, arcade games, and 11 playrooms. For more information on pricing and parties, please visit Buttons and Bows Indoor Playground on Facebook or call 985-359-2697. We anticipate the Ngatis will be here at one of our meetings as a new business in the near future. We'd also like to thank Grambling President Rick Gallo and Southern President Dr. Ray Belton and their staff for working with Ms. Bernetta Ambrose and the St. John School System and our office in coordinating a recruiting visit. This is, I think, the 4th year. It's not very often that high school students or junior high school students get a visit from university presidents. We had 2 at the same time. The superintendent, school board members encouraged the visit, and I think it's something that is resulting in recruitment of many of our students. And I think from now on, rather than just a Grambling event, it'll be a joint event for Grambling and Southern. So definitely want to thank them for coming here. We want to thank Ms. Ambrose, and we're going to continue to do that and encourage participation in both of those universities. Last week we had a productive meeting on the West Bank talking about the Lucy Edgard Trail and the public safety substation or complex. The sheriff and fire chief were there. At a good turnout. Many of the questions were answered, and we want to thank those who came out. It was in the paper last week, but we'd like to congratulate Thomas Groh III, who recently won the regional spelling bee at Xavier. Thomas is the first student to do so from St. John. He attends LaPlace Elementary and has earned a fully paid round trip to the National Scripps Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. We're very proud of him and look forward to recognizing him at our next council meeting. Our partners at the Louisiana Wildlife Federation, CPRA, and Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation held a successful public meeting last night to discuss the Maurepas Swamp Diversion Project with the community. It was very well attended. They asked some very good questions. I think the project was explained extremely well. It's been in the works since before 1999. Funding is now available through the Restore Act, and they are moving forward with that project. Earlier today, there was a dedication ceremony held at the St. Andrews Fire Station with the fire department and family and friends of District Fire Chief Spencer Chauvin, with the leadership of the fire department and our state delegation, specifically Senator Gary Smith. The 3-mile bridge on I-10 was named the Spencer Chauvin Memorial Bridge. Signs are in place, and it's a fitting tribute to Spencer, who lost his life in 2016 on the bridge. I think Mr. Peralou was there. Thanks for coming. I think the sheriff was there. We know it was right before the meeting, but it was extremely well attended by firefighters and family members. And when you're passing on I-10, you'll see the signs and remember Spencer. There's also the cross that was placed in the area where he died now has a solar light on it, so you can see it at night. Again, a tribute to a very fine firefighter. Tomorrow, Wednesday, March the 28th, the Council on Aging Director, Ms. Cheryl Parquette, the staff and representatives of the parish will host a re-grand opening and tour of their new Senior Citizen Center in Edgard. It's for 10 o'clock a.m. They furnished it. We've completed the gate and the additional serving door. So again, if you're in the area and can attend, please come out and celebrate with them. I recently joined, let's see, we talked about that. We have some good news. I know we've been working on this for some time, but we received notification, I think today, that we've been approved as a certified local government from the National Park Services. Thanks to Alex and her team, it's been a lot of work. That notification was received today. We're excited about that. It leverages the parish and gives us some opportunity to access historic preservation grants, funding, and special program dollars. We'll join the state in recognizing National Community Development Week. We just received that today. It's April 2nd through the 6th. During this week, we recognize CDBG program and the CDBG funding projects and programs that have greatly improved the quality of life for residents in our community. Since 1986, the parish has participated in this much-needed program. More than $52 million in CDBG funds has been provided to support the public infrastructure, economic development, and housing programs, and for that we're grateful. A reminder, Household Hazardous Materials Collection Day is scheduled for Saturday, April the 7th in the New Wine Ministries parking lot. This is a much anticipated event and allows residents to clean out their garages and houses and get rid of paint, solvents, tires, batteries, oils, and more that can't be thrown in our garbage. To view more information on what will and won't be accepted, please visit hhmd.com. Please, again, mark your calendar for our annual clean sweep on Saturday, April the 21st. We'll meet at the Thomas F. Daly Memorial Park at 8 to stage a parish-wide cleanup until 11 a.m. After the cleanup, everyone is invited back to the park for food and music. And to register for Clean Sweep, please visit the parish website at sjbparish.com or call Terry Abity at 652-9569. Again, it's not a parish employee event, it's a parish event, so we are asking people to come out and assist us. Even if you just want to clean near your business or near your homes, pick an area. It's a great opportunity to show pride in the community that we live in. On Sunday, April the 8th, the Timber Mill Association will be holding the 4th Annual Sings and Strings Festival from 11 to 8 o'clock p.m. in Garyville Historic District along Museum Street and Historic Front Street. Great music, unplugged, along with crafts and a cook-off will be featured. High school students and their families are invited to Career Link at the Reserve Technical College on Wednesday, April the 18th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. This event is an opportunity for students to receive more information on employment opportunities with local business and industry. It will be a one-stop shop for parents and students to learn about technical education and careers. This is a great event for high school students deciding on career paths or looking for technical education options. We recently held an event at the Technical College where scholarships were given to interested students. Unfortunately, we had a very poor turnout. We had industries in the area who were greeting students. We had 10 scholarships. There may have been 5 students. Again, this is an empowerment opportunity. We have a great training facility in our own backyard. We have to take advantage of it. All the industries that look for individuals who have the types of certifications that are taught at the school were there, greeting potential employees, letting them know what their expectations were. And again, the original scholarships were $500. They were it was matched by the Country Music TV. And again, it was extremely disappointing not to have the students there to accept those scholarships. So the goal is to get rid of the stigma associated with technical college, 2-year degrees, certifications. They produce great livings, a great opportunity. You can start your education there, go on to a 4-year university. Great programs. We need our residents to take advantage of the opportunities here so that they can become employable in the industries and businesses in our area. We'd also like to again remind the public of restrictions on the Mississippi River levee. I'm sure you all have noticed how high it is. The river is now at 16 feet at the Carrollton gauge and remains very high and a threat until it decreases to 11 feet. During this flood fight, no digging activity and or subsurface work of any kind is allowed within 1,500 feet of the levee center line. This includes, but is not limited to, pile driving, excavation, and trenching. Driving and soliciting on the river levees is prohibited, and there are patrols. There will be zero tolerance for unauthorized parking and driving on the levees. Just a reminder, parish offices will be closed this said Friday, but half a day Thursday, March 30th, and Good Friday, in observance of Easter, and hopefully everyone has an enjoyable Easter holiday weekend.
Okay, thank you. Council brief, Mr. Becknell.
I just want to wish everyone a safe and happy Easter.
Same thing here. Safe and happy Easter holiday.
I'd like to thank the Celebrating Church for that Easter egg hunt and that activity they had back there. I visited it. It was very nice and it was well organized. A lot of things for a lot of young kids to do. That was beautiful. And I also like to congratulate the 14-year-old. You know, I have a little nephew on that team, and for winning that championship. They won the regional championship this past weekend. And Alex, congratulations. I know that's big. You know, we getting this thing started. You put a lot of work into all of that. I know that. And now we get them, you know, kind of get us an avenue there to get us some money to help push that thing forward. You know, so thank you, congratulations, and Mr. Kendrick, thank you, sir, for helping me out and getting things done that I had to get done back there, that tree on the weekend and stuff like that. I appreciate that, I really do. Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
Just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Easter weekend.
Mr. Pearlman.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to all who went into the effort of changing the 3 mile. Ms. Rowbottom said it for Spencer. It was a nice event that I was glad I could share it with the family. When we passed there, we will remember him because he was a big asset to St. John the Baptist Parish. I'd like to say congratulations to Thomas Groves, who run the spelling bee. That was a fantastic feat for him to do that. So, and I'm looking forward to bringing him to the council meeting to give him some more congratulatory. Another one is I'd like to say happy birthday to my wife, who's making a big birthday. And also, and also I'd like to tell everybody happy Easter, have a safe Easter.
Mr. Mallett.
Congratulations, Alex. Thank you for the hard work you put out. And I'd also like to, we had there was a industry fire in Reserve pretty recently. Without being told to, Marathon Oil recognized it and dispatched one of their trucks, which I think is important. It shows the spirit of St. John the Baptist. Everybody's going to reach out and help each other, as well as Chief Kane and his fire department. I got stuck on that road and there was quite a bit of smoke. I spoke to the manager. A little bit of loss of property, but at the end of the day, it could have been much worse without our fire department and the cooperation from other industry. And happy Easter, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, huh?
Ms. Otoa.
Thank you. I think people were burning their water bills. That was the problem over there.
It was pretty rank.
It was plastic. But no, thank you to everyone who did work on renaming the bridge. I actually noticed the sign a few days ago on my way in, so thanks to everyone who was a part of that. Also with the VOTEC, I know I still actually call it the VOTEC, and I'm looking at the paper at the letterhead, and it is River Parish's Community College Reserve Campus, so I think it's going to take a little bit of even just calling it River Parish's Community College so that people do understand that it is a community college. It's not just VOTEC. And with the transferability of the degrees, like you said, people don't realize that they can just transfer, and that Louisiana actually has what's called a 2LT program, and as long as you complete all of the classes in that curriculum, it automatically transfers every class into any 4-year state college. And what's good about it is you can get those first 2 years right here. You don't have to live away, and it's so much more affordable. And while you're there, you may even realize there is a curriculum that you'd rather pursue instead of going into a 4-year, whereas when you start at the 4-year, you may not be on the right path. So I'm disappointed to hear there weren't as many students, but I think that you know, there needs to be, but some people just still don't understand that it's not just VOTEC, that they can do so many other things. I don't know what the answer is there, but you know, it's something I guess we can all work on. Again, happy Easter to everybody, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Closing remark. Ms. Robotham touched on a lot of things I had written down on this paper. That walking pad, dirt bike and four wheelers, you know, stay off of the levee. Whether the river high or not, it's a walking pad. It's not for you to ride your four wheeler or your dirt bike or your golf cart on it. Stay off it. Okay, now I had that down for that. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Easter and be safe and good night. Motion by Mr. Perilou, second by Mr. Mallett, and
That carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
8 in favor and 1 absent. Stay off the levee.
Thank y'all.
Stay off the levee.
Thank y'all.
Okay.